It's a new year, which means it is time for a plethora of new books. For me, anyway. Hi everyone, I'm back today with a rather large book haul. I'm not even going to count them, I have a lot of books to get through. Some of them were sent to me, some of them were bought for me for Christmas, but most of them I bought myself, I think. I'll have a look. So I'm just going to start on them in no particular order, and the first one that I've got on my pile is this one. This is Lowborn by Kerry Hudson. I picked this up after seeing Rose from Rose Reads Books talking about this, and a couple of other books I've also picked up on her recommendation. But this is about growing up, getting away and returning to Britain's poorest towns. This spoke to me because I grew up in quite a poor area. I went to a very sort of ran-down primary school, and the area that I grew up in was interesting. Interesting, we'll say. It's an absolute world away from where I live now. And I wanted to read this and see if any of it reminded me of my own childhood or reminded me of, yeah, just where I came from really. And so I was very excited to pick this up when I heard about it. So this says, Kerry Hudson is proudly working class, but she was never proudly poor. The poverty she grew up in was all-encompassing, grinding and often dehumanising. Always on the move with a single mother, Kerry attended 9 primary schools and 5 secondaries, living in B&Bs and council flats. She scores 8 out of 10 on the Adverse Childhood Experiences measure of childhood trauma. 20 years later, Kerry's life is unrecognisable. She's a prize-winning novelist who's travelled the world. She's got a secure home, a loving partner, and access to art, music, film and books. But she often finds herself looking over her shoulder, caught somewhere between the two worlds. Lowborn is Kerry's exploration of where she came from. She revisits the town she grew up in to discover what being poor really means in Britain today and whether anything has changed. She also journeys into the hardest regions of her own childhood, because sometimes in order to move forwards, we first have to look back. And like I say, this just speaks to me. And there's parts of this that are set, when I sort of flick through it, there's parts of these are set in places right near where I grew up. We've got North Shields, which is very near where I grew up, and we've got Hetton-le-Hole, which is also quite near where I grew up. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. The next book that I bought on Rose's recommendations is this one, 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo. This just sounds very, very interesting. We've got all Lena wanted was to be desired. How did she end up in a marriage with 2 children and a husband who wouldn't touch her? All Maggie wanted was to be understood. How did she end up in a relationship with a teacher and then in court, a hated pariah in a small town? And then all Sloane wanted was to be admired. How did she end up being a sexual object for men, including a husband who liked to watch her have sex with other men and women? 3 Women is the record of unmet needs, unspoken thoughts, disappointments, hopes and unrelenting obsessions. Again, when Rose talked about this, I don't know much more apart from what I've read to you, but when Rose talked about this, it really sounded like something I would love to read, and so I bought it immediately, and here it is. The next book that I bought on Rose's recommendation is this one, Invisible Women, and this is exposing data bias in a world designed for men. This sounds very interesting, and it sounds very different to anything I've read before. It says, imagine a world where your phone is too big for your hand, where your doctor prescribes you a drug that is wrong for your body, where in a car accident you're 47% more likely to be seriously injured, and where every week the countless hours of work you do are not recognised or valued. If any of this sounds familiar, chances are that you're a woman. Invisible Women shows us how, in a world largely built for and by men, we are systematically ignoring half the population. This sounds brilliant to me. I really enjoyed, as I said, Everyday Sexism when I read that, and this just sounds like it's going to further my knowledge into the gaps in society. The next book is another one I bought myself. I bought this because I saw Rachel from The Shades of Orange talking about it, and so it's this one, The Whisper Man by Alex North. So this is about a father and son who move to a new area to start a new life, and they move into an area where 15 years previously there was a serial killer on the run, but before he struck the young victims that he was going for, claimed that they could hear whispers in the night. And before long, Jake, the son of the duo, Tom's the dad, Jake's the son, Jake starts to hear whispers at night. The Whisper Man. I can't wait to get around to this. The next book is one that was bought for me by my husband for Christmas, and I didn't know he was getting me it, and he said he had to go through all of my shelves and have a look to see what I didn't have before he bought anything. But this is The Librarian of Outfits, and so this is based on a true story, I do believe. So this is about 14-year-old Dita, who is a prisoner in Auschwitz, but she becomes the secret librarian of the camp. and she starts taking like a small collection of books to the prisoners and sneaks them all past the guard. And it says that books are very dangerous because they can make people think. They are very dangerous, especially in block 31, which I assume is where she is, because any sort of transgression can lead to murder, basically. Execution, sorry, no matter how young the perpetrator. So I'm really interested to read this. I do like things set in the war. Oh, hello. What's your problem? Okay, I'll let you just scratch at my books if that's what's going to make... Oh no, you want strokes. Oh, you want to scratch at me? Okay then. Like I say, I'm pretty sure that this is based on a true story, so I'm very interested to get around to reading that. The next book that I've got is the one that I asked for from my husband for Christmas, and it is this one, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I'm collecting the Harry Potter illustrated as they come out each year. They come out just after my birthday each year, so instead of asking for them for my birthday, I asked for them for Christmas. And they are, as I'm sure you've seen on many channels, beautifully illustrated versions of Harry Potter. Now, I've watched all the Harry Potter films, but I have not read all the Harry Potter books. Yes, the cat is appalled. We are all appalled. So I'm reading them now as an adult with my daughter, because why not? It's never too late to start reading Harry Potter. The next book that I've got was sent to me by my best friend, and I didn't know she was sending it, but here it is. This is Unnatural Causes, The Life and Many Deaths of Britain's Top Forensic Pathologist. It sounds perfect for me. So this is about a top forensic pathologist who has performed over 23,000 autopsies. Now, it says he's a detective in his own right because he must solve the case of what killed the person. And it says, in the pursuit of truth, he's tackled serial killers, natural disasters, perfect murders and freak accidents. His evidence has put killers behind bars and freed the innocent and has turned open-shut cases on their heads, yet all this has come at a huge personal cost. So he talks in this not only about the cases that have haunted him, but how to live a life that is steeped in death. This sounds perfect. Thank you very much. This next one I was sent for review. This is called Why Didn't You Tell Someone by Chris Hawkins, and this is a very short book. It's 81 pages long, so I'll get through this really quickly. And this says, where do I start? I've never written any of my thoughts down about the sexual abuse I endured during my childhood. I'm sure that compared to some it's not as bad. For me it was horrible. It was the worst experience of my life, and it's still with me to this day. I'm not sure who will read my story. Me, I will. If anyone that knows me reads this, I would say to them, this is my life story, this is who I am, and why I am the way I am. This interests me, but also I feel like it might just be a little close to the bone, because I find it really hard to read stories that involve children being harmed. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it's not going to be too sensationalist, and we'll be able to get the story without getting all of the extreme details, because I'm not one for that. But we'll see. As I say, it's a very short read, so I should be able to get through it pretty quickly, but this was sent to me for review. The next book that was sent to me for review, I am super excited about. It is The Deep. This is The Deep by Alma Katsu. This is obviously a proof copy, but this is a historical horror set on the Titanic. I can't tell you how much I am looking forward to this. None of you will know this, but I spent a large part of my life obsessed with the Titanic when I was a bit younger, and I used to read everything about it, and I used to watch things about it on TV, and I used to watch all of the survivor documentaries and everything like that. I loved everything to do with the Titanic. So when I saw that there was a horror coming out set on the Titanic, it had me written all over it. I can't wait to read it, and it's going to be one of the first books I read this year. The next book that I've got is this one. I bought it myself. Catchy little £4 sticker on there. This is Wick and Hers by Michelle Pavin. This is again another sort of historically spooky fiction, and it's set in Edwardian Suffolk. A manor house stands alone in the lost corner of the fens, a glinting wilderness of water whose whispering reeds guard ancient secrets. Maud is a lonely child growing up without a mother, ruled by her repressive father. When he finds a painted medieval devil in the graveyard, unhallowed forces are awakened. Maud's battle has begun. She must survive a world haunted by witchcraft, the age-old legends of a beloved fen, and the even more nightmarish demons of her father's past. Spanning 5 centuries, Wick and Hers is a darkly gothic thriller about a murderous obsession and one girl's longing to fly free. Again, this speaks to me, and this sounds like everything that I will love. And the final book that I've got is this one. This is Greenwood, and this is by Michael Christie. How beautiful is the cover of this? And this was sent to me for review, and it arrived wrapped in all these sort of twiny leaves, and it is absolutely stunning. So I haven't opened it yet because I want to use this in a Bookstagram photo, so that's why it's still wrapped up. So I'll just pop it down because I've got a cat in one hand and this is heavy and it looks a bit unnatural me holding it over here. So Greenwood is about the destruction of the natural world. It's an intergenerational literary epic, and it starts in 2038, and we're on a remote island off British Columbia. And on this remote island in 2038, wealthy tourists come en masse to see the last remaining forest of the world. And then after setting that world for us, it travels back through different generations. So it goes back to 1908, and it says it goes back to two young boys, the only survivors of a devastating train crash, and in 26 years, one of them, who's now a recluse, finds an abandoned baby, setting up a series of events that will change the course of his life and those lives around him. It sounds fantastic. It looks beautiful. I can't wait to read it. Look at the handprint on the back of that. That is absolutely beautiful. This publishes in February this year. It sounds very different to my usual read. I'm really looking forward to this, and this is the last book in my haul. Let me know if you've read any of those. Let me know if you're going to. I've seen lots of people talk about The Deep in particular, saying how they're looking forward to reading it. So I'm going to go now. I'm off to read, funnily enough. I've just finished a really good book, so I'm going to start another one, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye for now.